Oh. Oh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः 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 ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. Sixth and seventh mantra, third Mundaka, first Khanda. Satyameva jayate nandrutam Satyena pantha vitato devayanah Yena akramantyarushayo hyaptakamaha Yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam Bruhaccha tad divyamachintya rupam Sukshma च तत् सूक्ष्मतरं विभाति दूरात् सुदूरे तदिहान्तिके च पश्यत्स्विहैव निहितं गुहायाम्. This khanda is pointing out what are the other adjustments, fine-tuning that has to be done in a sadhaka's personality such that the absolute truth is very well ascertained, assimilated, and internalized. One of the sadhanas which was pointed out was truthfulness, satyam. Having this conviction that even in transactional life, the one who is victorious in the long run is a truthful person alone. there can never be a time when untruth emerges victorious in the bigger scheme of things. That is why the word eva is important. Satyam eva jayate. Eva means alone. And Satyam referred to Satyavan. One who speaks the truth is victorious in life. That particular mantra, mantra number 6, is actually referring to an upasaka. The word upasaka, which we are familiar with, is bhakta, referring to a devotee. Having lived a truthful life here, he is led to higher worlds. And in higher worlds, he discovers the supreme most truth. Yatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. Because this portion in the Upanishad is talking about knowledge, there is no elaboration of upasana technique now. So what they are indicating is, having gone to Brahmaloka, he discovers this truth. What is the nature of that truth? Either we discover it here or we discover it in Brahmaloka. But nature of truth is going to remain the same. That is why the next mantra has come, Bruhacchatat Divyam Achintya Rupam. First indicator of the truth is, it is infinite, not conditioned by body. So when we say, I am Brahman, we should look within and say, do I feel my existence is conditioned or is it infinite? Do I feel I am here and not there? Do I feel I am here now but was not there before? I am here now, I won't be there later. If the answer is yes, then in each statement, I am including body in I. So Bruhat should remind me, consciousness is infinite. And when I say I am consciousness, I should remove all sense of finitude. Removing finitude is not identifying with conditionings. So our Shravanam and Mananam should be so strong that the erroneous notions should be corrected. This will not happen if I casually listen to the statement once, I am not the body. It's a repeated reiteration of the meaning of Vedantic teachings. Bruhaccha tat divyam. Divyam means swaprakasha, self-shining. Achintya rupam. Achintya rupam means you cannot point it out as an object. It doesn't become an object of the mind. Sukshma cha tat sukshmataram. It is subtler than the subtlest. Amongst all the elements, space is the subtlest one because it has fewer attributes. The only way we can recognize space is through sound. But I can see space. We cannot see space, we can see objects. Space is not an object of eyes because Rupa Guna is not there in space. Only if Rupa Guna is there in some object, then it becomes an object of the eyes. So that which is the cause is subtler than the effect. So consciousness is the cause even of space. That is why it is subtler than the subtlest. Means when we sit down for meditation, we should know that the thing we want to meditate upon is a very subtle thing. Like threading a needle. If you know it, then you are alert. So like that, this consciousness is sukshmat sukshmataram, subtler than the subtlest. Vibhati, it shines through different conditionings, different upadhi. Durat sudure tadihanti keche. It is farther than the farthest and closer than the closest. For some people, it is very far. For some people, it is very close. Who are these two people? Those who don't have spiritual, scriptural vision. Those who have not done Shravanam, understood the nature of truth. A person might have their own notions of the truth. In general, this is how our thinking is. If you say, where is God? Where do we point? God is there. But Vedanta says, recognize God here. Durat sudure, I can keep him as far as I want. But if I allow Vedanta to work inside my mind, if I allow Vedanta to create new knowledge, it won't erase anything. I mean, it won't take away anything of the past. Means our devotion will be intact. You can still say God is there. But we should say God is also there. If we say God is only there, then that is slightly different from traditional understanding. If God is only there, then who is here? God is all pervading. He is recognized here and is also in that loka. Durat sudure tadihanti kecha. It is closer, nearest for those who have scriptural vision. Pashyatsu iha aiva nihitam guhayam. Where do they discover God? Nihitam guhayam. In this body, they recognize buddhi first. In the heart, they recognize buddhi. Then recognize that truth as illuminator of buddhi. The one who is enlivening the mind and thoughts, that is this consciousness. Nihitam guhayam pashyati iha eva. Iha eva. Now the second line bhashya, we were to see, this is page 91. Second paragraph, kincha. Did you all find online? Okay. Kincha durat viprakrishta deshat sudure viprakrishta tare deshe vartate avidusham atyanta agamyatvat tad brahma iha dehe antike samipe cha vidusham atmatvat sarvantaratvat cha akashasya api antarashrutehe iha pashyatsu chetanavan chetanavatsu iti etat nihitam sthitam darshanadikriyavatvena yogibihi lakshamanam kwa guhayam buddhilakshanayam tatrahi nigudham lakshate vidvadbhihi tatha api avidyaya samvrutam san lakshate tatrastham eva avidvadbhihi san na lakshate. Tatha api avidyaya samvrutam san na lakshate. Because avidvadbhihi is there, right? Avidvadbhihi na lakshate. Kincha durat viprakrishta deshat. Moreover, durat means in some far land. This is how they imagine. Viprakrishta deshat sudure, which is very, very far. Just like if you say there is some distant place, you say, that place you cannot reach easily. So those who don't have the right vision, they think God is like this. They think the truth is like this. It is somewhere very far, definitely not here. Viprakrishta tare deshe. Think of the farthest land that you can think of. They say it is farther than that. Some loka, somewhere. Who are these people? Avidusham. Remember, avidusham is not somebody who is dull. Avidusham means one whose mind is not samskrita through shravanam. One whose mind is not sanctified with the ideas of Upanishad. Either he didn't have reverence for it, he didn't have faith for it, whatever might be the reason. That person might have his own opinion of how far the truth is. Avidusham atyanta agamyatvat. Very difficult for such a mind to gain it. That is why avidusham word is used. Tad Brahma, that is called as Brahma. And what about the other category? Iha. Iha means in this body itself. Antike samipecha. The nearest recognition of truth takes place. For whom vidusham. Now vidusham here doesn't mean scholarly. Vidusham means who has paid attention to Upanishad mantras, who has paid attention to the style of teaching and reflected upon it. Vidusham atmatvat. How has he understood the truth? As his own self. Atmatvat sarvantaravatvat. Sarvantaratvat, it is the innermost. Compared to all conditionings, the self is the innermost. In 13th chapter Bhagavad Gita, we saw a word upadrashta. Drashta means seer. Eyes are seeing, mind is able to see, and consciousness is also a seer. So compared to eyes, mind, and the truth, if you compare all these three, which one is the innermost? Atma, Sakshi, that is the innermost. So the boundary for inner and outer is drawn at Atma. Boundary for inner and outer is not drawn at body. So compared to Atma, mind is Bahya, mind is outside. Compared to Atma, body is way further. That is the beauty, All conditionings are appearing in Atma. So you cannot say there is distant separation. As far as Aham is concerned, I is concerned, just to help us understand that we should transcend these conditionings, they say inner and outer. The point we are trying to think is, don't separate them by distance. That Atma is somewhere and mind is little bit further away. Then is body, then is the world outside. Because Atma is a substratum of everything. But for Aham, I notion, to get the right I notion, I understanding, they say I should refer to innermost self. That is this Atma. Iha dehe antike samipecha vidusham atmatvat sarvantaratvat Akashasya api antarashrutehe. It is the substratum even of Akasha. Now, this understanding we will get only through Upanishads. Atma is the innermost, it is a witness of my thought. I can do Drigdrishya Viveka. I am the seer, and thoughts are the seen. Therefore, it is the innermost. But to say that Atma is the inner prompter of space and all other elements, the only pramana for that is Upanishad pramana. So when I see something, even an object, the innermost aspect of that object is Atma. In this way, one should think. What is seen by the eyes is the object. The inner aspect of that object is the self. Iha pashyatsu chetanavatsu. Pashyatsu means those who are sentient beings. Chetanavatsu iti etat nihitam sthitam. This truth which is seated within. Darshanadi kriyavatvena yogibihi lakshamanam. That which is indicated by different actions, like seeing, hearing, etc. Great yogis indicate that truth through these actions. Means, how should we understand this? Atma with the conditioning of ego, mind, and eyes becomes the seer. Darshanadi kriyabhi means what? Eyes are able to see, mind is able to think because of the presence of Atma. If you are seeing the effect, you can infer that the cause has to be present. Just like if you see a fan moving or a light glowing, that shows electricity is present. So if darshana adi kriya is happening, that shows Atma is present. Lakshamana means indicated. Where is it recognized? Kwa, where is it recognized? Guhayam. Now Guha, Shankaracharya clarifies, it is Buddhi Lakshanayam. They recognize it in the intellect. As witness of thoughts, if thoughts are present, use those thoughts to shift attention to the witness. At the seat of meditation, if thoughts are coming, through that thought, I should shift attention to witness of thought. But it doesn't mean we have to create thoughts. This challenge we should face in meditation. On one hand, they say, quieten your mind. On another hand, they say, you are the witness of thought. So if I quieten my mind, how am I going to shift attention to Atma? What is the answer? So you quieten the mind and become witness of silence. And if you notice thought, use that same technique, shift attention to the witness using that thought. You don't have to create any new thought. And in Vyavahara, the moment you open your eyes, thoughts will come. There we cannot try to quieten thoughts. Even if I see this world, that seeing the world itself is a thought. So while in Vyavahara, remembering the truth as the witness of thought. But at the seat of meditation, they say quieten the thoughts. Next mantra is going to emphasize this point. Having quietened worldly thoughts, with a pure mind being able to pay attention to the self, that person will gain the truth. Because our struggle is going to be that first part. We have a lot of knowledge of the truth, but mind will, if it is not trained, it will be restless. Everything of the world, it will think. That part is being mentioned here. Guhayam means buddhi lakshanayam. Tatra hi nigudam lakshate vidvatpihi. Wise people indicate this truth as that which should be recognized in the intellect. Tatha api avidyaya samrutam san na lakshate. Tatrastham eva avidvatpihi. Those whose mind are extrovert, those who have not appreciated the Vedantic method of inquiry, in spite of that truth being so close, it being their own self, na lakshate, it will not be discovered. In Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya said, even if we spend thousands of lives, unless we gain clarity of this truth, there is no moksha. Brahma Shatantarepi, even if hundreds of Brahmajis come and go, unless we develop this pure mind and pay attention to the truth, liberation is not possible. Now the next mantra is a very special mantra. It is talking about what is the asadharana karana. Asadharana karana means unique cause for liberation. Another word for asadharana is special cause, main cause. Now, there are so many sadhanas which are given. Somebody says do this, somebody says do that, tapasya, japa, everything is there. But what is that one thing that we should gain through all sadhanas? That is being pointed out here. In simple words, what it is saying is that mind which is devoid of impurities. That mind which is devoid of impurities and is peaceful. When such a mind meditates upon the truth, it sees the truth. And the word given is jnana prasada. Jnana prasada means a mind which is devoid of impurity, devoid of agitations, peaceful mind. When that mind meditates, that mind abides in the truth. You know, there are two words in Sanskrit. One word is samsara. Samsara we all are familiar with. Any calamity you can think of and do a summation of all calamities. Summation of that is samsara. Means any sorrow coming from world, sorrow coming from people, sorrow coming from our own body and mind, sorrow coming from our own prarabdha. You make a summation of everything. That is called as samsara. How can I transcend this samsara? Is you add a ka in between. From samsara, if we want to transcend, our buddhi should have samskara. Sam, sa, half sa, ka, that is samskara. What is this Samskrita buddhi? That is explained in this verse. Because sometimes in the name of sadhana, we do many actions. In the name of karma yoga also, we might be doing many actions. But this mantra says, pay attention. Are we getting the result of sadhana? Are we getting the result of karma yoga? What is the result of sadhana and karma yoga? Samskrita buddhi. That mind which is very mellow, ready to absorb the truth. that ego which has become mellow, ready to erase itself. Ramana Maharshi says this ego should become like a camphor. Eka Arati, when we do, not Eka Arati, Karpura Arati, when we do, he says, in that light of knowledge, it should burn itself. How to get an ego which is ready to be lit? That is given in this verse. Na chakshusha gruhyate na pivacha nanyair devais tapasa karmana va jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha tatastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanah. न चक्षुषा गृह्यते नापि वाचा नान्यैर्देवैस्तपसा कर्मणा वा ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्धसत्त्वः ततस्तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः. न चक्षुषा गृह्यते. This truth is not perceived by the eyes. So when we say see the truth, Upanishad says don't seek the truth through the eyes. Don't strive to see it as an object. So Chakshusha refers to all jnanendriyas, all organs of perception. The organs of perceptions, they cannot perceive this truth as an object. The enlivener of these sense organs is the truth. Don't see it, strive to see it as an object. Napi vacha. This truth cannot be indicated by speech. The main message in entire Shravanam, where we are listening to so much speech, is to know that this truth cannot be known through speech. Because if you have to indicate something through speech, we either need some attribute, guna is needed, or that thing should be doing some action. If a cook is there or a driver is there, through the action of cooking and driving, you can indicate that person. So consciousness doesn't have attributes, guna. Guna means like red rose. Red is an attribute of the rose. So of consciousness, there is no attribute. So you cannot indicate it through any attribute. Neither can you indicate it through an action. Neither does it have a genus, species, where it is part of it. One amongst many. If there is a group like that, you can indicate the group. If you say cow, cow is a group. You need at least two to form a group. So consciousness is non-dual. There is no second. So group cannot be formed. And last way of indicating is relation. You can say Dashrath Maharaj's son is Rama. Some kind of relation is needed. Consciousness doesn't have relation with anything. Asanga it is. Therefore, words cannot indicate as an object. Then how do we say Upanishads are indicating it? If words cannot indicate it, the words of Upanishad also cannot indicate it. We say words of Upanishad indicated through negation. They don't indicate it as an object. They negate things which are erroneously included in Atma. So when they say Sat, Sat negates inert things, or Sat negates non-existent, the notion of non-existence. So somebody might imagine the truth to be complete void. They say, no, 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 it is not a void, it is Sat. It is existence. If it is existence, then somebody might think it is inert. They say, no, no, it is not inert, it is Chit. So think of that which is not non-existence. Think of that which is not inert. Then it could be some flashy little thing inside consciousness. They say, no, it is Ananda. Ananda means it is infinite. So to remove finitude, the word Ananda is used. So really speaking, all indicators of Atma will be negation. True indicators, Swarupa indicators. Or they might use Mithya Upadhi, unreal conditioning to indicate the self. Both terms we will use. Like if you say, Atma is Avasthatraya Sakshi. So Avasthatraya is the conditioning. But it is not, there is Avasthatraya and there is Sakshi. Avasthatraya is unreal. Unreal conditioning is used to indicate real Sakshi. So in that way. Na api vacha. It cannot be indicated through words. Upanishad words are only negation. Na anyaihi devaihi. Anyaihi devaihi refers to other sense organs, including the mind. They also cannot know this truth. This is dramatized in Kenopanishad. The Yaksha comes and different devatas come to know the Yaksha. None of them can know him except Indra Bhagwan, who goes with humility. The mind which is having samskara of humility, that mind can know this truth. Again, not as an object, but as its own substratum. So, organs of perception cannot know it, organs of action cannot know it, neither can other sense organs or the mind. None of them can know it as an object. Neither can we know this through tapasya. Tapasa api na gruhyate. And Shankaracharya says, tapasya is something which has the power to give us everything. He uses a very nice word, sarva prapti sadhanatva. What is tapas? Sarva prapti sadhana. If a person is willing to be austere, there is nothing in this world that he cannot get. In spite of this being the case, tapasya alone by itself cannot give Atma. Cannot give Atma means it cannot lead us to self-abidance. And neither can Vedic rituals represented by karmana, like Agnihotra, etc. They might give several things, but those rituals by themselves, they will not give self-knowledge. So how should we understand this? Tapasya is important, Vedic rituals are important, but they by themselves are not the goal. Through these actions, we should get samskara. That mind which has samskara will attain the truth. How does that mind look like which has samskara is the second line. Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattvaha. Jnana prasadena means that brahmakara vritti taking place in a mind which is devoid of ragadvesha, devoid of impurity, and which is devoid of agitation. Shankaracharya in the commentary, he points out two things: no impurity and no agitations. Such a mind is called as Vishuddha Sattvaha. Vishuddha Sattvaha, that person's name becomes that. Mind is peaceful. Lack of ragadvesha means what? After he has done the transaction, he can forget it effortlessly. Ragadvesha, Goswami Tulsidas Ji gives example of a moss. Kai Bishaya Mukura Manalagi. He says that moss is something, it will not go if you just pour some water on it. You'll have to scrub it hard. Means what? These impressions of objects, they get so deep rooted that even after the object goes away, we carry it with us wherever we go. One Mahatma Ji, he writes in Hindi, in self-knowledge, to remove these vasanas, it takes long time. Somebody asked, why does it take long time? He says, janam janam ki kai, ek hi janam mein jai. Means from several lives we have gained these strong vasanas. How can we expect that suddenly they will disappear? Janam janam ki kai. Moss has built over a long time, but some scrubbing is needed. That is the samskara part. So what is the alertness a sadhaka should have here? While doing karma yoga, while doing tapasya, while doing any other karma, he said the purpose of these things is to thin down the vasanas, not create more. So that lifestyle, that karma, which will help us thin down these vasanas, mellow down the ego, that becomes karma yoga. That's why in entire Bhagavad Gita, you will not see a particular karma called as karma yoga. Whenever Bhagavan Krishna introduces karma yoga, he will not tell us which karmas can be called karma yoga. He says it doesn't matter. We might be giving a glass of water to somebody, sweeping the floor somewhere, washing the dishes, making some dish. He said it doesn't matter. Bottom line is, are we able to remember the Lord and thin down our vasanas through those actions? Why do we end up doing those actions? Because of vasanas. If vasana was not there, we would not be prompted to do those actions. But while doing it, it should get purged. The vasana should get purged, not strengthened further. That person is called as Vishuddha Sattvaha, one whose mind has become pure through these things. Tatastu tam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamana. Such a mind, when it meditates on the truth single-pointedly, while meditating, it discovers the truth. Dhyayamana is Ch3 Shanach pratyaya, present continuous. It is not the end goal. Dhyayamana is while meditating. While meditating, it sees. So the main reason of seeing is clear knowledge. Brahmakara vritti. But the problem the sadhaka is having is that Brahmakara vritti is not finding a conducive mind to take root. So this mantra says, if you are able to prepare that mind in a way that knowledge can come and settle, Through that mind, we will see the truth. Shankaracharya gives two examples. One example he gives, if a mirror is covered with dust, he says, in spite of you standing in front of it, you will not see the face. And that dirt represents impurities of the mind, mala. If that is covering the mind, consciousness is there as enlivener of the mind, but it cannot be seen. Means time and again, attention will go outside, it will not come within. So mirror, which is dirty, is the first example. Second example he gives is of water which has been disturbed. There is calm water, you can see reflection of the sun there. You put your hand, disturb it, in that muddy, agitated water, wavy water, you cannot see the reflection. So what is the second example for agitated mind? So what is success in our karma yoga? That by which our mind doesn't get agitated. If you have to let go of something, let go. If you have to swallow something, swallow. Because our goal is Brahmanishtha, goal is not world. In worldly person's eyes, he might come and tell this sadhaka, oh, you are looking like a weak person. Why didn't you put your foot down? We should ask that other person, what is your goal? If putting foot down over certain things is going to get you Brahmanishtha, I will do it. And very likely, most of the times, that person has no clue of Brahma Vidya. Self-abidance is not his goal. So we should be very careful from whom we take advice. Especially for somebody who is a serious seeker. This mantra is pointing out to this facet. For Brahma Vidya to settle, we need a peaceful mind. And whatever it takes for you to get that peaceful mind, that is a right way of acting. And if you think you have done a right thing, but your mind is disturbed, spiritually it's a loss. Spiritually, you have done it in an incorrect way. Positive way of putting it. Spiritually it is, you could have done it in a better way. The Bhashya is very beautiful in this. Let us see the Bhashya. Punaha api asadharanam tat upalabdhi sadhanam uchyate yasmatna chakshusha gruhyate kenachit api arupatvat napi gruhyate vacha anabidheyatvat nacha anyaihi devaihi itara indriyaihi tapasah sarvaprapti sadhanatve api na tapasa gruhyate tatha vaidikena agnihotradikarmana prasiddha mahatvena api na gruhyate punah api asadharanam tat upalabdhi sadhanam uchyate. Now Shankaracharya is pointing out that even if these topics are being repeated, there is a reason why it is repeated. Generally, they say if you say the same thing again, it is called as punarukti dosha. Especially for poets, they say if you use the same adjective twice, that is called as shabda daridrya. Shabda daridrya means his vocabulary in that speech is very limited. Not for us, poets. We are allowed to use. We have shabda daridrya. But the point is, in Upanishads, when the same topics keep coming back, he says, appreciate what is the unique thing they are pointing out. So in this particular mantra, amongst all the sadhanas that we do, what is the asadharana karana? What is the special or the main thing which will take us to the truth? That is being indicated here. Those sadhanas by themselves, if not done with alert mind, might strengthen the ego, including karma yoga. This thought that I am a karma yogi will become our bondage. What should I be seeking through karma yoga? Jnana prasada. That mind which is peaceful, that mind which doesn't get colored by objects and people. After the interaction is done, it should be as though that interaction never happened. That mind is Samskrita mind. He says to indicate this aspect, this particular mantra has come. What is the main cause? Yasmat na chakshusha gruhyate. This is told again since this truth is something which cannot be seen through the eyes. Kenachit api. Kenachit api means we might feel, okay, for us, we cannot see it through eyes. Maybe devatas can see it through their eyes. Or some great Rishi Muni was there. He must have seen this truth. Another way of saying is, maybe devatas and Rishi Munis don't need to do Shravanam, Mananam, Nitidhyasanam. Shankaracharya says, remove that idea. Kenachidapi, whoever that person might be, the only way to know this truth is Shravanam, Mananam, Nitidhyasanam. Study the Upanishads, reflect on them, and meditate upon the truth. Kenachit api arupatvat, because this truth doesn't have a form, it cannot be seen as an object by the eyes. Na api gruhyate vacha. It cannot be grasped by speech because anabhideyatvat. It doesn't have those qualities which are needed for speech to indicate. Anabhideya means that. What are the qualities? Guna, kriya, jati, sambandha. No attributes, no action, no species or genus, and no relation. Anabhideyatvat cha anyehi. Anyehi devaihi. Anyehi devaihi refers to itara indriyehi. Other sense organs also cannot know it. Not only eyes and speech, but no sense organ can objectify the truth. Tapasaha. What is tapas? Sarva prapti sadhanatve api. Even though this tapasya is so great that in this world, if somebody wants something, everything this tapasya can bless that person with. And it doesn't even distinguish who is doing tapasya. Devata might be doing tapasya, Asura might be doing tapasya. Whoever has done tapasya has gained great glory. That's why in Shiva Mahimna Stotram, example of Banasura is given. Ravana is given just to show that power of tapasya is so great. It is not to praise Ravana there. Huh? That verse comes to show that even if an asura does tapasya, Bhagwan's compassion is such, he comes and gives the result. Now, this tapasya by itself cannot give self-knowledge. It cannot give self-abidance. Why is that? Because this self is already attained. That which is already attained, I need not do any action to attain it. So in Vedanta, we use two words, apraptasya prapti and praptasya prapti. Aprapta means I don't have it right now, I want it. For example, going to Swargaloka. It's a result that I don't have it. If somebody wants it, then he has to do some action. He has to do tapasya for it, karma and upasana for it. So then that apraptasya prapti, he will go and get it. But if something is already attained, the only means to gain it is through knowledge. That is why tapasya cannot get us there. Tatha Vaidikena, Agnihotradi Karmana. Even Vaidika karmas, if somebody says Laukika karma and Laukika tapasya, worldly austerity, worldly actions don't take us there. Maybe Vedic actions take us there. Vedic actions also cannot take us to the self. You know, there is a nice reason Sureshwaracharya ji gives why Vedic actions cannot give self-knowledge as the result. You know what he says? Whenever an action is prescribed, a result of that action also is given along with it. They say if you do this action, result of that is going to Swarga. Do this action, the result of that is good health. Do this action, the result of that is long life. He says you look at entire karma kanda and tell me which action they have given, doing which result will be self-knowledge. He says even karma kanda will not accept it. No ritual by itself can directly lead us to self-knowledge. So Agnihotradi karmana api prasiddha mahattatvena api. Even though these karmas are so famous and powerful, they cannot give self-knowledge. Api na gruhyate. Next part is, a different topic because it is the second line. Jnana prasadena vishuddha sattva. This bhashya we have to see slowly. So just mark it over here. Next session we will start from Kim Punaha. Tasya grahane. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.